Hello children, welcome to another class of computer lesson. So today we are going to learn the remaining portions in this chapter. So what are the things we have learned in our previous class? In the last class we have learned what is a computer language, what is a programming and how a programming is written and what are the steps to write a program, and we discussed the flow chart. Right? Okay. So let me remind you, there are three types of constructs. Three types of constructs are sequence construct, second one decision construct, and third one is repetition construct. So once more, what are they? Sequence construct, second one is decision construct, and third one is repetition construct. Repetition construct. Okay. So in the sequence construct we know the flow of program from one statement to another statement. Then they did not bother about any types of conditions. So in the sequence construct, the flow of program from one statement to another statement. It goes one to another, then next, etc. So that way we can use sequence construct. Second type of construct is decision construct. What is that? Decision construct. This is similar to the sequence construct, but there is a difference. That is, the program flow of the statement from one statement to another statement depending upon the condition. So what is a decision construct? In the decision construct, the program control from one statement to another statement depending on the conditions. So in the conditions contain two statements, a true condition and a false condition. If the condition is true, the program flows to the true statements. If the condition is false, the program flows to the false statements. Right? So once again, what is a decision construct? The program code is transferred from one statement to another statement depending upon the condition. A condition contains two types of statements, true statements and false statements. If the condition is true, then the program flows to the statements which belongs to true condition. And if the condition is false, then it goes to the false statements. So let me take an example so you can understand better. So first one is, we have to find out, so question here is to find out the average of three numbers. If the average is greater than 80, then it goes to the true condition, otherwise it goes to the false condition. So let's do it. First, start. So let's write a algorithm. So first one, start. Second one, read three numbers. Read three numbers. Three numbers. A, B and C. A, B and C. Okay. Then next one, calculate the sum of these three numbers, because we know how to calculate average sum by the number of sequence of numbers, right? So here first we have to calculate the sum of these three numbers A, B, C. So let's take a variable S, and S is equal to A plus B plus C. So this is the third step. And the fourth step is we have to find out the average of got the average of three numbers A, B and C. Then sixth one, finally after executing all the statements, let's stop this program. So next stop statement. So then what will be the flow chart of this program? So let's do it. First one, start. We know start is written on a terminal box. So this is terminal box. And then next one, read three numbers A, B, C and C. So printing and reading statement should be written on the input box or output box. We know there is a parallelogram. So this is the shape which we used for printing and reading statement. So here this is a reading statement. So we can say accept ABC or read ABC. So here we can write accept A, B, C. Then next S is equal to A plus B plus C. So this is the processing statement. Right? That means here the process is addition. Addition of three numbers. So it should be written on a processing box. So here this is the processing box and that is S is equal to A plus B plus and C. A plus B plus C. Then next another fourth statement is also a processing statement. So that means here the operation is division. So we can write another. There is another processing box and which includes the average A is equal to S by 3. Here the value of S is stored in the variable S and which is divided by the number 3 for finding average. Then finally the last step, stop. So here this is a common way to find the average. So now the decision construct means if, let's take, if the average is greater than 80, print good or otherwise it is bad or work hard. So here we can add another step, that is step number 5. If the average A which is greater than 80. For example, let's take the marks of three subjects A, B, C. So the total or the average of three subjects is greater than 80. Then print good. So another part, otherwise or else, print but hard. Then step 7, stop. Okay, once again start, read the three numbers A, B, C. Then calculate the sum of the three numbers A plus B plus C which is stored in the letter S. And then we have to calculate the average of numbers. So here S divided by 3 and the value is stored in the variable A. Then finally we have to calculate a decision parameter. So that is A which is greater than 80 if the condition is true. If here the value is 150, then it is true. Or if it is the average is 10, it is false. Right? So if the condition is true, then print good. Otherwise print work hard. So what will be our flow chart according to this statement? First one. If A greater than 80, we know A, this is the decision box and it contains two ends, a true end and a false end. So here this is true end and then this is false end. So if the condition is true, then there is a printing statement, print mean here work hard. Print work hard. Work hard. Then stop. Okay, so this is decision construct. A statement flows from a program flows from one statement to another statement, and it depends on the decision. So here the decision parameter is A, which is greater than 80, it goes to one statement, that means two statements, otherwise go to four statements. Then next is repetition or loop construct. So another type of constraint is repetition or loop construct. Loop construct. Then what do you mean by repetition or loop? A statement repeats again and again. So the similar case here, in a program, the statement repeats at a certain number of times. So we can say that is repeat construct, and which is also known as loop construct. Loop means again and again. Again means a statement repeats for a number of times. So that is repetition construct. In the repetition construct, loops are used. A loop is used to repeat a certain set of commands again and again till the condition is met. So what is a loop? L-O-O-P, loop. Loop means in a statement, the set of commands repeats again until the condition is met. So here in a program, a set of commands repeats again and again. Commands means instructions, repeats again and again, repeats again and again, again and again. Then it will continue until the condition is met. So in a program, a set of instructions repeats again and again until the condition meets. Condition meets. So let's take an example. So here, look at the picture, page number 54. An example of loop in real life. You are running on a circular track in a garden. Just assume you are running on a circular track in the garden and decided to take 6 rounds of track. So example, so just imagine you are running around a track in a garden and you decided to take 6 rounds. How many rounds? 6 rounds. So next, then we know there are some procedures for running around the track. First, set a starting point. First we have to set a starting point. So you choose a starting point running to go step, start running. So just take here, start running. Then after completing the round on the track, you will reach the initial position. That means you will reach the starting point. So one round completed when you reach the starting point. One round completed until you reach the start point or original point, start point. Okay, so once again, set a starting point. Assume you are running a track in a garden or a ground, or a garden or a ground. Then start running. Then one round completes until you reaches the first position or initial position. Then, so first round is completed. Then again running around the track until the starting position. So second round completed. Then you will run until the final round is completed. That means same process is taken place again and again. Similarly, set of commands process repeatedly. Set of commands works repeatedly or process repeatedly until the condition is. Here the condition is 6 rounds. So after completing 6 rounds, then the process exits. That means run stops. So here similar that of a set of commands repeats until a condition is met. Then, so what are the observations from this current example? First one, the loop in the above processes. So what are the observations from this example? First one, the loop in the above process is running around the circular track 6 times. So first one, the loop in the above process running around the track 6 times. Then the loop stops when the 6 rounds gets completed. Then in this example, when you reach the starting point of track, it is considered the completion of this round. Okay, so that is the looping stage. So let's take an example. Before that, we have to learn a new term, that is counters. Have you heard about the word counters? So we are now discussing about the looping construct. So before going to the program, we have to learn another term, that is counters. So what is the new term? Counters. So the next topic, understanding counters. Understanding counters. Yes. So here a counter is set to 0. That means the beginning of each round. So the round or the run starts from 0. So the counter is set to 0. If the track or the runs repeats, the value of counter will incremented by 1. Right? So here when one round gets completed, the value of counter will become increasing, right? Increasing or increased by 1. So now we have to set counters. If the counter is denoted by CT at the round, so let's take counter by counter be CT. Okay. So at the beginning, the counter is set to 0. At the beginning, the counter set to 0. Counter equal to 0. One round the counter is 0 and which is incremented by 1. So at the beginning counter is equal to 0. After completing the first round, the value of counter is 1. First round, counter equal to 0 plus 1 equal to 1. Yes. So that means when we compare the first and second, we know it will be incremented by 1. So next, after completing the second round, what will be the value of counter? So second round, then the counter value is equal to, so counter is equal to, last we got 1. So then it is incremented by 1. So 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Then next step, after completing the third round, then the counter value is incremented by 1. So that counter is equal to 2 plus 1. So finally 3. Then next fourth round. So after completing the fourth round, so the counter value is 3 plus 1. Counter is equal to last, the counter value is 3 and then it is incremented by 1. Finally the value is 4. Next step, after completing the fifth round, then the counter value becomes last, the value is 4. So 4 plus 1 is equal to 5. Then final round, that is 6. So after completing the fifth round, sixth round, after completing the sixth round, then what will be the counter value? Counter value is equal to last, the counter value is equal to 5, then it is incremented by 1, that is equal to 6. So now we meet the condition so that the loop exits from the program. So once again, first the counter with the set CT, and if the counter CT is equal to 0, then after completing each round, the value of CT will become incremented by 1. So first 0, then it becomes 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5 and finally 6 until now the condition is completed, so that it will exit from the condition and also from the program. So here there is a table in your textbook, page number 55, number of times and value of counter CT. CT is equal to CT plus 1. CT is equal to CT plus 1. So this is the new variable CT, new value, and this CT is the previous value. So this is the CT which contains previous value. This is incremented by 1 and which is stored in the same CT. So the original or the previous value is replaced by another new value. So here, before starting the process, the value of country is 0. After round 1, the value of city is equal to 1. After round 2, the value of city is equal to 3. After round 4, the value of city is equal to 4. After round 5, the value of city is equal to 5. And after round 6, the value of city is equal to 6. So the definition of counter is, the counter is a variable which is used to keep the track of number of repetitions. Track the number of repetitions in a loop. So what is a counter? Counter is a variable. Counter is a variable. Here CT is the counter. So it is a variable and it is used to keep the track of the number of repetitions in a loop. Here how many repetitions? 6 repetitions. So the value of CT is equal to 6. Then let's take an example. To read 5 stories from a book. Okay. To read 5 stories from a book. To read 5 stories from a book. So let's write a flow chart from a book. So here the number of books is equal to, the number of stories is equal to 5. Number of stories is equal to 5. Okay. And here, so let's start an algorithm. First start. Then second step, accept 5 stories or read the first story. So that counter be set to 0. So CT is equal to 0. Then third step, read the first story. Read the first story. Read the first story. Then next we have to write a condition here. Before that we have to increment CT is equal to CT plus 1. Then next fifth one, if the CT which is less than 5, then go to stop. Otherwise reading the next story. If CT less than 5, then go to end or stop. End statement. Otherwise, if the else part, read the next story. Read the next story. So here there are 4 stories in a book. Let's start. And the counter CT is equal to 0. So read the first story. Then increment the counter by 1. Then if the CT which is greater than 5, so give the yes. Okay, CT less than 5, then go to end. Otherwise go to reading next story. So first start. Then next counter is set to 0. So the variable declaration is also in the processing box. CT is equal to 0. Then next read the first story. So that is a bringing statement. So here read first story. The next by 1. So Ct is equal to Ct plus 1. Then, so this is also a processing step. Then after reading the first story, we have to check the condition. So if Ct less than 5, then so it should be in a decision box. If Ct less than 5, then if it is true condition, if the condition is true, then go to reading the next story. Then also after reading the next story, the counter value becomes incremented by 1. Then next checking the condition. Then if it is false, then go to end statement or false step. Stop. Okay. So here start counter is equal to 0. Then start reading. Then Ct is equal to Ct plus 1. Then next if Ct less than 5, then go to the true condition. That is go to the next reading statement. Then otherwise go to the false statement or ending statement. So today we learned 3 types of repetition constructs. First is sequence, second one decision, and third one is repetition. So after that we did some exercises. So let's wind up this class. We will continue later. Thank you.